Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 76 of the Audible Farm podcast. And this week, I had a little bit of trouble finding a guest. So, what I'm going to do for everybody is I'm going to play a replay episode for you. I didn't really choose this one 100% at random. Actually, I kind of chose this one based on the fact that Gene Walker's hit me up a couple times recently, and he said, hey, MGcc is looking for gigs. So this is going to be my good way of letting everybody know, hey, there's a rock band out of Fort Dodge, Iowa that is killer. And they're looking for gigs. So if anybody's looking for a band that can fill a couple hours, hit up Gene Walker. I'm gonna tag MGcc's Facebook page. They got a Facebook page now. I'm gonna tag that down below. I'm going to just play a replay episode of an earlier episode I did with Gene Walker, and it was the first time Gene and I met, and we soon became pretty good buddies after that. You know, he's a great guy. He's another one of those guys that I had, never met before doing the podcast. Do the podcast, you're like, holy cow, this guy's cool. So, hey, everybody, check out this prior episode with Gene Walker. Make sure you check out the links down below. Check out MGcc. And I'm going to have another link down below to another band called the Stampeding River Caterpillars. And I'll have some more info on possible upcoming show dates for those guys at the end of the episode. So everybody enjoy this replay episode with Gene Walker. He's such a cool guy. Hope you guys enjoy this. And if anybody's looking to book a stellar rock band, it's leaning close towards the heavier rock, but they can span all sorts of stuff. Gene sent me a couple videos, and they're great. They're great. So check it out. I hope to someday share the stage with MGcc. These guys are killer. So check out this episode. I will have more information on show dates, etc., on the end of the podcast. So enjoy it, everybody. Sorry I couldn't find a new guest this week, but I hope you guys all enjoy this replay episode with Gene Walker. This is episode number 76. It's a replay episode. Enjoy it.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Gene Walker. You and I haven't met really before this. So
in the driveway.
Yep. So this is it. We got a 5-minute introduction, and we're just sitting down, and we're gonna do it. We're talking MGcc, and MGcc, I'm assuming, is lettered for everybody in the band. Does that sound right?
That's pretty darn close.
What is the MGcc?
Well, it's father son. So it's
oh, cool.
Marshall, Gene, and then it's actually our carbon cohorts. So it's our two sons.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been wanting. Well, it's Marshall Dodge and his son Cody Dodge.
Okay.
And then my son Chris Walker.
Oh, cool.
So, I've been wanting to play with Marshall for years. We've been wanting to play together, but he's been in a lot of bands too. He's my age, so he's from Detroit, I believe.
Oh, cool! Wow.
He used to hang out and watch Ted Nugent in the bars. So
that's sweet.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
That's his school.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't seen you play other than maybe at a jam night.
What? You live in a cave, or what?
Pretty much. Well, that's
you are in a cave, right?
Oh, yeah, we are actually in my little man cave studio.
Gear cave.
Yeah.
Now that I look at the stack of rack or amps here.
Yeah, there's stuff on the walls and sitting around. I used to be in multiple bands, and I hated dragging gear around, so all I did was just brought a different piece of gear to every show.
Guitars and guns, man, that's a good combination.
You got it. All right. Oh, man. So, like, ski band, right? That would be the original. Like, when I was first growing up, someone's like, you got to go see the ski band. They're awesome. And so you guys were one of the bands when I was first growing up that was, like, around the area, one of the go-to bands.
So it would have been like, what, in the 2000s, like 2000?
Yeah, early to mid-2000s would have been when I first started playing guitar. So
sweet. Yeah.
I mean, give or take a handful of years in there, but yeah.
Well, we were together from 2000 until, 2011.
Oh, cool.
So, Yeah, the end of 2011, almost 2012. So, yeah, it tragic, and it ended tragically with my partner in crime, Dean Morris, passing away.
Yeah.
So, but we had a good run, 32 years, and a lot of fun, and ate a lot of drummers. But,
That seems to be the way it goes, though. But and then you look back at my podcast list, and it's like I've interviewed 4 drummers, so almost 10% of everybody I've interviewed's been drummers so far. So they're out there.
They're all weird and flaky, man.
It's because they're in 14 bands. It's like, how come you haven't responded? Well, because I'm drumming for another band right now.
I shouldn't say anything. I started out as a drummer, so
I think a lot of people started out as drummers.
Wanted to be, and I still do play. When I have a chance, jam night or in the church band, I play drums when no one else is available. But they let me loose once in a while.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I can count to 4, okay.
So what got you started into music? You said drums first.
Drums first, yes. Actually, from Iowa City originally.
Cool.
And, my buddies started getting into music, and back in that day, it was. The late 60s, I was into Creedence and Tommy James and the Shondells, and then when the first Beatles record, my first Beatles experience was really Abbey Road.
I bet it's in there. I've got a stack of records over there somewhere.
Yeah, Flipside Abbey Road. The one long song was usually my Ward's signature. Take off the speaker stereo. Your early Walkman headphones you put on either side of your pillow.
Yep.
that was I listened to every night.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I was into that. My buddy was into J.J. Cale and Blind Faith and Clapton and all that stuff. So that was the other side of the thing, the blues influence back then. But yeah, I started out as a drummer. Started playing on some cardboard and some a big old stump for a bass drum. My mom says, if you could play those things, I'll buy them for you.
Oh, cool.
Well, so I walked in and was able to play them, and bought a set of Ludwig's Black Pearls, just like Ringo's.
Oh, cool, cool.
Small trap set with a sizzle cymbal, the old rivets in the cymbal,
What was the thing that drew you to the drums then?
I was just beat man, I've always been that way. I'm a bass player now, so started out in drums and wanted to be a guitar player, and then ended up being a bass player because we had a way better lead guitar player than me.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that'll be easy. That's easy stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found out that between the drummer and the bass player, we got control, brother.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I always find that playing the bass is kind of easy unless you want to play the bass well. Because you can play basic and it can get away with it, but there's people add their own sauce and flair to every single thing that's going on in a bass. The good ones, And
you name guitar players, you can name 20, guitar players that come into your head, and you say, well, how many bass players? You're like, Victor Wooten.
Yeah, I mean, you get Les Claypool.
Chris Squire was one of my guys from Yes. I mean, I always that sound.
Yeah.
That was the sound I strove for.
Oh, that's good stuff.
But yeah, so being a bass player, it's kind of cool because if you want to shine, you can step up and do your stuff. If you want to just fit back in the pocket, you can stand back. And first few years I played, I never looked at the crowd anyway because I was way too freaked out to be looking at that stuff. So I fit in well till I got my shoes. Paid my dues.
I still feel weird sometimes going out and playing in front of people. Depending on the crowd, it's just like, oh man, it's like that. Do I fit in here, or what's going on? How did I end up in this location?
That's what Dean, we used to always have that weird moment where you stop and it'd just be like, what's going on here? Why are all you people looking at us?
That's hilarious. Oh gosh. Yeah, our bassist in Three Finger Betty does a lot of kind of just hiding out on the side of the stage, and sometimes he just turns around and it's not like he's scared or anything. He just likes to stay in the pocket and kind of hang back and do his thing. And
yeah, my eyes are closed most of the time if I'm in the groove. Music is I don't know about you, but music is the only place that I can be that I'm nowhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty much all encompassing. Yet it's hard to describe. When I'm playing at jam nights and things like that, I start playing a song, and as soon as the nerves are gone, I'm like, wait, the song's over? It's like it just. that's how it happens, you know, and
Yep.
people talk about that, but it's not work. But it's at the same time, it's the only thing you're concentrating on, but you don't really have to concentrate while you're doing it, you know?
Yeah, you experience that once in a while. You have that zen moment of, you know, a lot of jam nights. I've jammed with Ober and Sean Menikis and, you know, Dean Davis, the human metronome.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
you know,
I cannot wait to get Dean Davis in here. People have been like, get a hold of him, and I've gotten a hold of him, but I've been slacking. But I've seen him a couple times, and it's like, whoa.
yeah, that man has played in a band called Locust that was just phenomenal back in the 70s, you know.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I could tell you some stories. And a lot of guys. I mean, you got a lot of work to do yet, so you're never going to run out of people.
I will not. That's the thing I'm finding. It's not gonna end. I could stay up in Fort Dodge and Humboldt area and do this for about 2 or 3 years before I have to start doubling down.
Yeah,
Like,
you got rock and roll bands like the Senders have been together 50 years, man. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot. Fort Dodge is rich in rock and roll history of jazz. Well, jazz, you know, they're under the table. You know, those Jake Merritt guys and those. Well, you got Vino, and you got who's the piano player?
oh man, don't make me guess it on. Don't put me on the spot like this. It's
Gabriel.
Yes, Gabriel.
Yeah, my goodness.
Is Alves?
Yeah, you're on your own on his last name.
Something like
I
that.
know him by Gabriel.
Yes.
I played with church with him a couple times, man, and he's. Whew.
Yeah. When I sat down with Alejandro, he was telling me about it, and I was just like, oh, okay. And Merritt was telling me about it too, and so I might have to.
Yeah, those are the jazz guys. They kind of fly under the wire. Now they're playing out in the open though, in front of people actually. So you know they're out of the bag. So you know.
That was always kind of fun. Like we were talking about, like, at least with Alejandro, it was like, what can you bring to the table while you're here playing? And everybody has their own flavor. And it was kind of fun watching him go up to a jazz night or a jam night. And it's like, well, this is now just differently flavored stuff going on, you know? And it's just crazy, like, to go to these jam nights and see all these people play, but it sucks because you only get that tiny little glimpse of them. Like, a couple songs, 3-4 songs of anybody is not enough, you know? I want more of everybody.
You know, well, being a bass player is, you know, also playing to the music, you know, which, you know, I'm sure Vino knows, and, you know, most players know. They've been around a while. You can overplay the drums, you can overplay anything, but, you know, you want to do your part. And a lot of people, you know, the bass player, you're never up front. You know, you're the kind of the guy that, unless you're Nicky Six or something.
Yeah.
You know, you're just really, people don't know who or Flea or somebody like that, you know.
Yep.
But, so, yeah, you really don't stick out so much at being a bass player, but you are a very supportive part of the band, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's integral. There's been one show where our bassist couldn't make it in Three Finger Betty, and it's like, hey, you want to fill in on bass because we already booked this show and he can't make it. And it's like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. And I'm just kind of like, I'm not even the lead guitarist. Like, I'm rhythm guitar, but I'm the guy playing leads while the singer is singing because he can't do that, you know. So then when he's not singing, he plays all. So I'm not kind of just like a extra rhythm guitarist anyway. So it's like, yeah, I'll play the bass. Dude, it's harder than you think, and it's harder to always stay in the pocket with the drummer and like.
Yep.
I don't know. With the guitar, you can get away with sliding around a little bit ahead or behind the notes a little bit easier.
Most bass players and most people in a band will take a drummer that can count to 4 in, you know, 4 equal increments over a period of 3 minutes over some flashy drummer that, you know, can do everything but not in time.
Yeah.
You know, but
That's
it's
true.
really cool. He can spin his sticks and do all that stuff. But you know, that's where, like I say, the human metronome, Dean Davis, I played with him, but geez, back in the 70s, we had him fill in with a band called the Johnny's A Street Buzz Band back in the 70s. And Johnny Passo was our drummer back then, and he couldn't make it. He was in the fields. And Dean came in, and Johnny was the best drummer I'd ever played with in my life up to that point. And Dean came in, and I'm just like, wow, this is just incredibly steady.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a song he'd never heard before. Got in a pocket, and we recorded it in an afternoon, and that was my introduction to Dean Davis and his amazing skills.
Yeah.
You know, he was a studio musician, I believe, out in California for a while. So
I've heard stories. I wish I knew. It comes back to jam nights. The only time I ever got to see him was at jam nights at Patty's Pub. As a matter of fact, the first one I ever went to was one that Ober was like, you want to be a house musician for this? You know, it's like, sure, I'll come up there and do that. So I played a handful of songs, and it was packed with guitarists. So it was like you get 5 songs, then it's like, all right, let's let everybody fly in through here and I'll close the night out. But Dean Davis was sitting up there and he gets in for a song and I'm just kind of like eyeing him because I don't know him, and I'm just like eyeballing him, and all of a sudden it's just like, holy crap, this guy's a friggin' amazing. And he's not always just keeping beat with the kick and snare. Sometimes he floats it around and he syncopates it in, and then he comes right back to doing, and it's like, how does your brain map this out to do this?
Yes, he's a lot of fun to play with. I got to do a album, well, I guess it was it was Ricky Moore's last record, and I recorded I don't know, 5 songs or so with him out to the studio, and it was Ricky just had everybody come out, and it was almost like a jam because he had the songs, the structure of them, and you just came out and you learned your part on the fly and you played what you felt. Mm-hmm. And Dean was drumming, I played bass, and there was a couple guys. Shelly Bottriff was out there. Had 3 chick singers, and we had a harp, and we had a real harp.
Oh, no way!
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
It took them about 14 hours to tune it, but it was banjo, and I mean, so that kind of creative stuff, man, is really cool when you get that stuff thrown at you like that.
Oh yeah,
and Jam Night does that to you, for sure.
Oh yeah,
it's like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to play with some people at Jam Nights I did not ever imagine I would get to play with. And, I mean, as far as even, like, drummers, just, like, even standing next to just Jeremy Ober and playing, and I'm not saying just Jeremy Ober, but, like, he's out there playing at every Jam Night, and I was just too shy to get up there and try, Right. And then he's the kind of guy that just picks at you, and he's like, get up here,
Once you've got to know everybody around here. So
a little bit, yeah.
We're not that way, man. It's like, come on, play.
Yeah.
We're not here to judge you. If you screw up, well, it's jazz. You're only a note away from the right note. Play it 3 times and then it's right.
Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that everybody wants you to go up there and have fun. They don't want you to go up there and be the absolute best and blow their brains out and be the greatest. You have to shred, and it's none of that stuff. It's just go up there and have fun,
I'm sure you were the guy like I was that wouldn't play in front of anybody unless I knew what I was playing and when I was going to play it.
For so long. I mean, like I like to tell, I started when I was like 16. I quit somewhere in my mid-20s, and I started when I was like 27. And it wasn't until I was like 28 or 9 that I was finally like, oh yeah, I can get the hang of this jamming thing a little bit. Finally I can get this. And that was like what got me to finally be like, I'll join a band. I'll finally do it.
It stretches your wings, puts you out there, and well, a lot of people never do it. They never get the joy of it. Then you get guys that are so good jamming, and that's all they do is they play, and you go, why aren't you in a band? Well, I really don't want to be in a band, which being the age I am now, knowing being through all the different phases in a band and different bands and stuff, I can totally understand that now.
Oh yeah,
I was like it was before. I was like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Well, there's nothing wrong with the gentleman or the lady.
Yep.
They just don't want to play in a band.
Yeah.
They just like their instrument, and they've mastered. And some people do that over several instruments just because that's what they want to do. It's pretty cool. Music's the one thing that. And you can take one note and you play that one note and it just makes you feel good, or you maybe bend it a little bit and it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And so that's music.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's cool about music. You can be the worst musician in the world in whose ever opinion, and it sounds good to you. Well, right on.
Yep. I mean, I will never forget being a kid growing up and just like plugging a guitar in, hitting distortion, and playing an E power chord was like the coolest thing in the world. When you first like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this one day. It's like, what else do you know? It's like nothing.
But I like distortion.
Yeah, this sounds so good. And it's like that's the feeling you get, and you're just like, I'm gonna keep this going as long as I can.
For sure.
And unfortunately, my love for music never really like wavered. I just didn't have the time or energy or mental capacity to put into even playing a guitar. I was kind of just down and out on it because I felt like I plateaued and couldn't get any further.
Well, you always have. Well, as you well know, there's always some place to go.
Yeah.
With any instrument. So
yeah, I'm learning that.
It's easy to feel like that once in a while, especially when you go to jam night and see somebody that just like,
yeah,
why am I even trying? But
yeah.
No. And once you understand that there's place for you anywhere in music, man. That's what I really love about it, and that's what I love about the musicians around here, man. Is they don't, bring it on.
Yeah.
Fun. Let's play. That's all we really want to do. Let's play and let's have some fun.
Exactly.
That's been that way for a long time around here. There's a lot of cool. We're finally getting more venues. Patty's is gone, but got to play last night there. I had a lot of history in that place before Gina had it even, but something else will come up.
Yeah, it was Pee Wee's before that, correct?
Pee Wee's before that.
That was on the floor. They had Pee Wee on the floor there. Or was it? They say Pee Wee's. I think it said Pee Wee's.
Yeah, Pee Wee's. Yeah. Yep. Right in the vinyl.
Yep. That was one of those things I remember going there and just being like, oh, this is Pee Wee's. When the first time I went there, I was like, nice. I never went to Pee Wee's. When I was.
We were basically the house band between us and the Cave Band. We were pretty much the two house bands there, and we would switch off playing New Year's or Halloween used to be a really big deal. All that stuff used to have reservations to get in and stuff like that. Things have changed a lot. So it's starting to come back where live music is starting to be more supported. But, back in the 70s and the early 80s, we'd hop in my van and we'd go to Livermore, we'd go to Bancroft. We'd catch 4 different bands, 4 different sets in one night.
Oh, that'd be the best.
But back then too, you could make money playing music too.
Yeah, that's true.
But you had a crowd.
Yeah, and it's not to say you can't make money playing music, but if you wanted to live off of it, it would be super difficult today. It's doable.
It's doable.
I mean, you could really engross yourself in it. Be like, I got a music store, I give lessons and play in a band. Like, if you really want to double down on everything,
right?
You could do it. But I mean.
And you can play in a band doing it too. You just not be able to do exactly what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to appeal to the masses, but there's a lot of that going on,
And justifiably so. Like, I feel like every band that is a cover band has kind of found its niche to be the band that they wanted to be, given the cover band limitations. It's like you play a couple songs that everybody knows, but you still get to play the songs you want.
Right. That's the dilemma I'm in right now with this new band, is that I played in a cover band for all my life up until 2011, 2012. And then I decided I wanted to be in a band that we played all original music. And that's been a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a real challenge. And Lucky's, Patty's was here and a few places around we played, but unless you want to go to Des Moines and play for nothing, or if you can draw a crowd, then then you can sell some tickets on your own and do it right. The Underground used to do that up now on Algona, I believe.
Yep.
That's how you made your money, is you sold your tickets, and that if you wanted paid, which I don't really think is that bad of an idea. If you want to make a bunch of money as a band, the bar owner needs to make some money too. So
yeah,
but back in the day. You could, people went to see bands. You could knock down $750, $850 a night for a 4 or 5 piece band. Now to try and do that,
it'd be a stretch.
It's a stretch.
Yeah,
yeah. You got to have a pretty good following to be able to do that,
and
which rightfully so you should.
Exactly. I mean, and it comes down to what are you going to bring to the table?
Right.
Like you said, bring a following. Are you going to play music that people are going to listen to, or is it not going to fit the bar or the clientele? Are you just bringing amps and standing there? Do you have lights? Do you have smoke machines? Do you have shoddy equipment? Do you have nice equipment? And it's tough to find your little range in there too, though.
Exactly.
Or every band I feel like is going at what they want to do in a different fashion. Like, there are bands in Des Moines that only do the pay-to-play shows, or the ones where you have to sell tickets just to be on the show, and you have to sell at least 20, and then if you don't, you have to make up the difference monetarily, and that's the pay-to-play method for some promotions or some places down there. That's how they do it. And that's cool, because a lot of those places, they'll do that stuff, and the band is going to pack the house. It's going to almost sell out Vaudeville Muse. And you're like, holy cow, if this place is going to be wall to wall packed, I might as well give my band a shot at playing this, even if it's going to cost me a little bit of money.
Sure.
And if you have T-shirts, you're going to make that back. Especially if you went out there and did your just desserts.
Right.
But that also comes down to you gotta bring it, and it's not always just as easy as showing up and playing your tunes and leaving.
No, things have changed, with social media and the way to promote yourself and things like that. Back in the 70s, we played 50 weekends out of the year, and we'd play different places on Friday night, Saturday night, play week-long shows at these Mothers in Des Moines, Brad 6th Avenue. You'd play a set, and the dancer come up and dance for 15, 20 minutes, and you get up and play another set.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's the way it was. And you had a crowd.
Yeah.
But it was all in Des Moines. It wasn't around here. That was. In the 70s, you did have, at one point, there was probably you could have 5 different venues in this town that have live music and country music.
Yeah.
And, different things like that. But that was a short period of time. It's not like it is now. It's, being an old guy, I've run through all this stuff, and it's coming around. I think today, as a musician, you have more opportunity to get your stuff out there if you really want to hustle at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, with the internet and everything. I mean, the ability to record stuff at your house with pretty high quality, with almost no money invested in hardware and stuff. Like, it's pretty wild. You can spend a couple $100 and then have just. It's like, oh, wow, I got a microphone, an interface, and a laptop, and you just plug it in and go. And
Eastside Window, didn't they do that at Chris's place?
I'm not sure where they recorded that.
I think Chris did most of that stuff in his studio, which is basically a home studio. And I mean, listen to Eastside Window, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
That's a killer tune, and it's recorded well.
Yes, it is.
And I think that was done. I don't think it was done in any major studio.
No, like where have you gone to record stuff? Like when you recorded things?
Well, that's where we've kind of come full circle too. Most of my stuff has been recorded at Juniors. We did some stuff at S&R with the ski band.
Juniors is the one in Otho in the barn there.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's still all analog. I mean, the clown used to go out there quite a bit and record. He'd bring in his Pro Tools stuff and take over the studio. But most of the stuff Kirk records in his own sessions is all on 24-track tape.
Yeah. I want to say that the claim to fame for a lot of people that like don't know what Juniors and Otho is, there was I want to say like Slipknot may have recorded their demo there or something, or a handful of them have been there and recorded stuff. I do know that for a fact, but I'm not exactly sure 100% on that.
When Sean comes out, he takes over the place, and I don't know, how often that happens. And I don't, the state of their band now. I don't know either. But Beach Boys have been there, and
yeah,
and geez, there's,
dude. Don't act like it's not going to be difficult to get 8 people now, but to all agree with each other. Geez, like all of us have a hard enough time with a 4-person band. Double that down and try and get along with everybody. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody gives them a lot of guff, especially like, in the Des Moines scene and around the area, everyone's trying to be the next Slipknot without being Slipknot, and I get the gist of what's going on down there. It's tough to overshadow this thing that everyone's like, oh, are you, it's just Des Moines and Iowa is just Slipknot. So you can't leave Iowa without having that hanging over your head. You got to try and find a way to go around that.
Sure.
But, man, they have definitely done very well for themselves being just an Iowa band. And regardless of any guff that anybody gives them, they're all super talented. They're all multi-instrumentalists. It's insane. Yep. I don't know, man.
Well, see, that's what I'd have to do to go back to that mainstream line is I'd have to put a mask on so I could see how old I was.
Oh my gosh. The masked band thing is pretty funny. One time I saw a band and it was called Fun Gone Wrong, and they had beer boxes that they painted up. And they just like wore beer boxes on their heads, but they like painted them up to be like, kind of like masks. And
something special.
Yeah, and I was like, this is hilarious. These guys are awesome.
I saw Here Come the Mummies the other day.
Oh, cool.
Somebody played that for me they were actually on Bob and Tom. And they were all dressed up in their stuff. And
neat.
And I didn't know the story behind them, but I guess they're all funk guys.
Yeah.
And they're all in major funk bands, and they can't really show their faces because they're contracted to other...
That's what I had heard, and I wasn't 100% sure on that.
That's the story I heard, so...
The crazy thing is that's regardless of whether or not that's true, that's amazing. It's a good way to get some hype, and those guys are good, too.
Yeah, they write songs. I think every song, one of their songs is some sexual innuendo, though.
Yeah, well,
whatever sex sells. So,
yeah, I mean, if you got the ability, I feel like if you have the ability to say it without actually just saying it, actually putting your tongue in your cheek instead of just saying it, like it's creative, and I'm going for it every time. Like every one of ZZ Top's song is the same way, but they didn't like literally just come out and say
Well, no,
They weren't
their
vulgar
song
about
is
it at all.
just, it was "I Like Dick," and they kept showing pictures of Dick Tracy and Dick Cheney and Dick Clark. Well, why can't you like Dick?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No Nixon up there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there might have been.
There might have been. Well, I guess some people like Nixon, so.
Well, he was a dick.
Oh, this is the Politics Hour on the Audible Farm Podcast. Oh, man. So you first started out playing the drums, and then you said you went to the bass. At what point in time did you, like you said you were in a band, and you were like, I kind of want to be a guitarist, but you had a better lead guitarist, so you went to the bass. What band was that in then?
Well, first band I was in when I was a teenager in Iowa City, a band called Avalanche. I did play drums in it, and they told me I played the cymbals way too much, but we got over that. I overplayed. After that, I started playing guitar, actually, and started jamming with some people, Ed Wilson and Mike Prophet and some people, and started a band called Johnny's A Street Buzz Band, and we ended up getting a really good guitar player at that point, and that was 75, I think it was. So we didn't have a bass player, so there you go. I went and borrowed Eric Nelson's bass up until he said I couldn't do it anymore. Over to his mom's house. Hey, can we get Eric's bass? We want to practice. And so finally I went down to Advanced Audio in Iowa City, which actually Paul Dressler, I don't know if you know him or not. You probably need to interview him too. He was working at Advanced Audio at the time and sold me my first Precision P bass. It's a 66 P bass.
Jeez.
And a PV400 head and a Sun bass reflex double 15 cabinet.
Sweet. That's a nice setup.
Yeah, so I played that for a long time.
Yeah, PV's my jam in case you couldn't figure that one out.
Yeah.
It's like the best, most cost-effective amps ever, probably.
Well, yeah, you can drag it behind the truck to the gig, pee on it, bump it up the steps, plug it in, and it works.
Yep, and it's going to sound good.
And believe it or not, if the PV stuff does not work, we rented a board once from Reman's for some production show, and it was some big thing with feedback control and all this stuff, and half of it didn't work, and Ed and I looked at each other and said, well, but you got to try it first. You pick it up about a foot off the ground, and you drop it. And it worked.
That's hilarious.
And early ribbon cables, man. They just didn't. Mackie did the same thing. The ribbon cables and Mackies were this.
Yep.
And if you would just scream into the microphone, it would make the connection. And we ran Mackie power amps for a long time. So, yeah, PV stuff is now, Crest Audio. Was it Crest Audio and PV are all together now, I believe?
I'm not sure, man. That's...
And if you're buying a PV power amp, you're buying a Crest power amp. So it's all basically the same stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of, I don't know. When I first started playing, I had a Marshall stack, and it was a cheap MG Marshall stack. I was like, you got to have that Marshall tone. Everyone's got to have Marshall, and it's like, oh, I'll get the solid state one, whatever. Recently just sold it. Kind of bummed I sold it. It actually sounds really good for being as cheap as it was.
MG100?
Yeah.
I got one.
I mean, theirs sounds super good, dude, for being...
So Dean bought one because he couldn't turn his knobs right. And there's so many good presets on that Marshall that...
Yeah. Yep.
That was the amp for him. Because it was like, hey, he spent too much time getting the tone. And digital modeling or whatever's on that amp worked real well for him.
Yeah, and it's great. I loved mine. And like I said, I just recently got rid of it. But when I decided to upgrade from that, quote unquote upgrade, somebody's like, try a PV Triple X, because I was looking at the time at maybe getting a Mesa. And they were like, just try the Triple X. I think you'll be impressed. So I found one, tried it, and was just like, dude, it's like a quarter of the cost. I'm totally gonna get this instead. So
you got a 5152 then?
I got a 6505 plus. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't even take that thing to shows. That thing's never left this basement since I bought. And it's whatever. But I do like amps. I got into I don't want to say collecting them, but I've got a small handful of them,
you do.
and I like them. I for a while used most of them at shows. A lot of shows I was doing a buy amp setup, but it's just you're playing punk music. Quit dragging so much stuff everywhere. Nobody's gonna care if you're a gearhead at a punk show.
All it has to be is loud.
Yeah, pretty much. And And I like bringing gear everywhere. I've got, like a 10 pedal board set up. I like having all of my stuff at my fingertips to do all the things I want to do. It's like an artist with his palette, but at the same time, like, you gotta get away from that. Like, I played a show at the Rockin' Picnic. I made a little band in like about a month and called it the Stockyard. And Jeff Blummel played drums, and Nick Earhart played bass, and Dan Blair played the lead guitar for me. And I did a little singing. And I was like, I'm gonna bring this Classic 30 out here because I almost never play this thing. So I like got a Fender with single coils, and single coils aren't my bag. So then I like tuned it into this, Classic 30. I was like, this sounds really good though. It's not what I would normally go for, but it's that kind of ingenuity through
something fresh.
Yeah, that's probably all it really was just something brand new. And I was like, this is awesome. I like the way this feels. Yeah. Do you ever run into that anytime when like playing stuff, like even if it's just like a small gear change, or like?
Yeah, I'm lately the last quite a few years I've been a hard key guy, and
oh yeah.
But before that I ran the full PV gambit. For a while I was running a Citation 16 and an Ibanez, just a rack mount compressor limiter. Had an EQ on it, and it had a parametric EQ on it, and just ran straight that way into a Citation 16, which was like 150 watts a channel.
Oh, cool.
All solid state.
Yep.
Then I went from that to double stacking to a PV Max bass, and then I went to 3620 bottom.
Cool.
218s, 210s, and I set a keyboard on top of it. It had 2 10s and a horn in it.
Oh, jeez.
That was 210 watts too, and so I played that stack for a long time, and then I traded that in on a like a 5-string bass, and then I ended up playing it through a hard key, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
The only thing that turns my trigger more than the hard keys, like GK. GK's got some rumbling stuff. They got those they're like 412 cabinets, and you put 2 of those together, and it's just unbelievable.
I feel like the bass amp and all the bass gear recently is it's morphing, like it's changing. There's the scope of what's out there. Like it used to be like Ampeg and Hartkey and maybe Trace Elliott. Like there were a couple others maybe, but like it wasn't too many. And now you go into a Guitar Center, it's like I don't even know if I remember ever seeing some of these brands before.
Right.
And like the Fender Rumble amp, it's 60 watts and you pick it up and it's 22 pounds and you're like, what's going on with this?
Right.
Like,
and it works well.
And it works really, and that's like the mind blowing thing is like you used to have the super heavy, like, 9-ply treated plywood, now
I played through, who was it? Either Jeremy Ober or Jeremy Pearson, or it might have been Vino's amp. I think he's got a kickback Ampeg that it's like a single 15, and it's incredibly loud and clean. And in one speaker, I'm looking at that thing thinking it should be blowing up at any point as loud as I'm playing through this thing. No, technology is, that in the digital world has really made life cheaper and better.
Yeah.
Which is usually not the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first started playing guitar, you'd pick up digital stuff, and this is even like I said, like 2003, 4, something like that. And it had come a long ways till then, and it still was just kind of like you go get some cheap digital stuff, and you're like, oh, this isn't as good as it could be, And it kind of just, and nowadays it's like I just recently I'd run into an Avid 11 rack, and it's literally just like a Kemper or something like that, where it's just got your amp, your cab, your microphone that you're using, and like everything like inside of this like digital unit, and you can just send it straight out to a PA from there, or record from that, or like just send it to a power amp and use it that way.
So is it an emulator then instead of a?
Yeah.
Is it modeling? I mean,
it does all of the modeling for everything. Okay. Like I said, you can even change the microphone you're using to mic up the cabinet. That I'm using air quotes because it's not like you're actually changing a microphone. You're just changing EQs on it somewhere. But like, and even that, it's just like, man, this thing sounds amazing, And you can go online and people have already dialed in a ton of presets, and you're like, oh man, I don't even have to do any work, and this thing sounds this good, And it has come a long way. Like you said with that Marshall, like you just out of the box, these things already sound pretty darn good. And
yep. Yeah, Diener was playing a Hot Rod DeVille before that, which is a powerhouse amp. But we had to put it in a box somewhere, to get the tone out of it. It was just way open back, too loud.
Yep.
Sound man would just was not your friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You want it screaming, and he wants to be able to control it. So yeah, I my 215 bass bottom that I have my case in, we would turn it sideways and stick it in sideways, hang a towel over the front of it, leave a little ventilation into it, and that's how we had still mic'd. It was still loud, incredibly loud. But,
yeah. I mean, I've seen people doing that with like I've got the classic 30 here, but a lot of like older Fender amps and things like that, they'll pin them at like 10, and then they'll put something in front of it so it doesn't blow everyone away, but you still got to get that tone out of it if you want it like that.
Junior Brown production company, we did some stuff for him, State Line Rally, and 2 Fender twins, wide open, one nothing else. Bass player, traveled with him, was kind of his road manager, and the drummer they'd hire as they went in. Drummer could pick 3, so I don't care what it is. It could be a snare drum, hi-hat, and your ride cymbal. It could be a snare drum, kick drum, and your hi-hat. But you're only getting 3.
Oh, that's weird. That'd be crazy. Like, I mean, that makes...
It makes you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you almost think you'd have to have a snare and a kick, but you, I guess, don't necessarily have to.
You could, how weird could you get? A timpani and a tambourine and what? One of them biclavas, I don't know.
Yeah, no kidding.
You could get pretty weird,
That would be nuts. Oh man, and that just comes with that innovation through constraint kind of thing again. Like if you start pinching down your options, that's what happens.
This gentleman chose a ride cymbal, snare, and a kick drum, which probably would have been my choice.
Yeah, I mean that is pretty much bare bones all you need. That's like a cocktail drum kit if I ever saw one.
Right.
So what are some of the biggest shows you've played in? I'm sure you've played dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of awesome shows. But if you had to pick a handful out that you were like, oh, this is a pretty big show, or this was a special one to me, or these were pretty fun.
Probably, a couple of the shows that have been, there's been quite a few, but a couple that really stick out is playing with John Kay and Steppenwolf at like the second or third Abate rally.
Cool.
I used the same microphone. I got to swap spit with him.
Nice, yeah.
So it was pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
And the band got up and played Born to Be Wild with us. That was pretty cool. We did a lot with the Bay. We were like the first band to play the first Freedom Rally that they had up in Humboldt. So with District 10 first formed. So yeah, we were involved in that quite a bit.
That's cool.
The other show. Yeah, that show was on a hay rack with generators. So,
dang.
So it was pretty
bare bones.
Bare bones.
Yep.
But the other show probably would be opening up for Grand Funk. We did a Dragon Boat show at Kennedy Park, and there's probably 3,000-4,000 people there.
I was there.
You there?
I was at that show, so I have seen you play. But that was a while ago, was it not?
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, that was a while ago. But when we got through playing, I think we got through playing Frankenstein. So we always had one epic song that we'd always play. It'd be whatever. And we got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And that was like from your hometown. That was pretty special.
Yeah, that would be something pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. But yeah, we've done quite a few.
Rightfully so, though. If you're gonna play Frankenstein.
Yeah, we would always. Oh, geez, we had a Deep Purple medley that we did that was just intense. But we would always challenge ourselves to do that kind of stuff, I mean,
yeah.
Some of the hardest songs I've ever played, cover songs, it's like, One by Metallica and
it's a fun one.
Oh, geez. The beginning bass line at Peace Cells is always really fun to play.
Yep. Bump a dump bump 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 dump bump bump bump. Yep.
And we just always had a signature song that we would always, Frankenstein was that for a while. Dean was a guitar instructor, standing between Dean Morris and the ski band was Dean Morris, Phil Smith, myself, and John Passo.
All right.
Was the original members of it. Well, actually, the original members was Craig Ahrens from Sac City, and Ed Wilson he was from Clare. They were in the band to begin with, and Dean ended up joining us a little bit later. And then Ed ended up actually leaving the band and going to running sound for a band called Rocks.
Oh, cool.
Which was a pretty hot band at the time. And ended up coming back to us, and because we wanted him to engineer for us, and he wouldn't do it for a while. We had kind of a parting of the ways, and he came back and engineered for us. And then Phil Smith joined the band. Excuse me.
No, you're cool.
And that went on for quite a while. Then actually, that was the lineup for quite a while, and then John ended up going back, started having a family, and went back to the farm and left us. And we had 7 different drummers in between.
Yeah.
And he ended up coming back in 2006, something like that, I believe it was. I don't know. It's on our bio. I should bring that up so I'm not talking what I don't know about.
I definitely do see the commonality for that with the drummer thing, though. Like, one of my favorite bands in Des Moines is currently looking for a drummer. At least I saw it today when I left work. It was Transig's looking for a drummer for anybody that wants to play metal and thrash. But that's a pretty awesome project. I interviewed Eric Tran a while ago, and he's kind of made a solo album all by himself, but he played all the instruments. And when he does it live, obviously he can't play the drums and shred the guitar and bass at the same time, so he's got to have other people fill in, and he's looking for a drummer. And it's some intense music. It would take a lot from a drummer, but if anybody's out there, looking for that kind of a thing, there's always gigs for drummers to play.
Oh, what was it here? It's like John left in 91, that's earlier than I thought, and came back in 2005.
Oh, dang.
But I knew I wasn't going to be able to remember all the names of the drummers. But Nick Rosendahl.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, he played with us for quite a while.
Oh, cool.
And Lance Larson with Cross-Eyed Mary.
Okay, yep.
He was with us for a while. Brent Bierstead, I don't know if you know him or not. Steve McFarland. Who else was there? Somebody else in there. Well, Danny Ross. Do you know Danny? He was a thrash guy. He would play in a band called Martyr, which those guys were pretty, with Dennis Farrand.
Sorry, man. Any of these people, if you're listening right now and you're like, how do you not know me? Hit me up.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Dennis, you should interview him. Ferret. So I played with Martyr for a while too, in between. And that was pretty much all original stuff. But we did a lot of Tool and Helmet and
cool. That's awesome.
All that kind of stuff for a while. But Danny was in that band, and then he came. So he was a thrasher.
Yep.
And then started playing with us and started playing Skinner.
Yeah.
Because our band, Ski Band, did everything. We were the wedding band. We would do everything from Green Grass at Home to Thunder Kiss 65. I mean,
oh, cool. Yeah.
So
yep.
We would play for Grandma and Grandpa for the first set, and then last set they'd wanted to bang.
That's pretty wild.
And so we did that for a long time until we couldn't stand it anymore. So I was just going through looking at our bio because I can't always remember. It's always been so long. Some of these dates escape me.
Well, I mean, I even was sitting there thinking man, 2003-ish was when I got my first guitar. That's pretty wild. 2004 maybe. So it's
the 90s were kind of our heyday. We put out our CD in 95, Madman. It was just a 4-song CD, but the 90s, were a lot of different stuff going on. We went from metal to Nirvana, and went through that whole thing, and then I mean in the 80s it was, then Alabama was real popular. All the country stuff was just tearing the charts up, and so Dean wrote a lot of country stuff. We entered in a lot of country showdowns, won a lot of country showdowns, and booked ourselves as the Ski Boys, and we'd play our off weekends and do all country.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we all music is music, man, and there's some great country music out there.
Oh yeah.
And Dean wrote quite a few good country songs, and he played fiddle, so we could do a lot of that kind of stuff. And
nice.
then we ran into a identity crisis because it was a ski band or the Ski Boys.
Yep.
It's like, well, who's playing? What kind of music you guys be playing? So we did that for a while.
Yeah.
And kind of got away from it towards the end. did more of our own stuff.
You know, that would be pretty crazy. Instead of just being the band that will play anything you want us to play anytime, you kind of split it down the middle, and we're like Ski Band or Ski Boys. That's pretty ingenious. I like that.
Well, you wanted to play, and you wanted to play. At that time, country music was pretty popular.
Oh yeah.
There was country bars in town. That's all you saw was country music, and there was actually country bands that played around here. There were actually quite a few good ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of country music, I guess, but I still definitely enjoy it. I enjoy country flavored things more than straight up country stuff. But I was listening to some like early 2000s country, and I was like, this is barely even country. It was like super well produced. There's like strings, and like it sounds like there's an orchestra behind it. Like this.
Yeah, it's either that or country rock. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and that was what kind of brought me into the country, thing, was like, you go listen to Southern rock, and that's like, country's cousin,
Right.
And that's pretty much what that is, and it's like your Skynners, your Molly Hatchets, your, maybe Bad Companies. I'm just throwing out handfuls of bands, but like
Right.
any of those bands, I was kind of like, yeah, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, the Eagles' first record, which I hated with a passion when I first heard it, and then, years later learned to like it.
Yeah.
Learned to appreciate it, and actually it was, it's pretty good stuff, but man, at the time I was like, what is this crap? What are these guys doing?
Yeah.
I was into Joe Walsh and all that kind of stuff, man, but I was more into Slade and,
Yep. Slade was the band that sang "Come On, Feel the Noise." That was the original one. I mean,
stomp your hands, clap your feet.
Yep.
There was, yeah.
But that's another fun thing to do, is like, you not enjoy some music until later, and then you're like, why didn't I like this before? Like, what? It's not like, I don't ever look at it like this music was before its time. I'm always like, what was my problem?
Right.
Like, how come
I couldn't handle horns until I heard 25 or 64.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, wow, that's a really good song.
That sounds pretty darn good, And I did that with bands that are like obviously good. It was just like Def Leppard. I'm like, I don't like Def Leppard. And then you're just like, dude, how can you not like Def Leppard? Because when they're not writing banging rocking songs, they're writing songs that's just like, it's got like 3 pre-choruses and a chorus, and everything is the hook. Like every part of the song is the hook, and you're just like, dude, this is awesome,
Yeah, and those guys were for real, man. They could really sing and really do that stuff live, man.
Yeah.
So that was, in the day, there was a lot of good country bands in Fort Dodge. I mean, geez, the Outriders, Dick Hewlett and the Outriders. My goodness, Dick Hewlett. That man had a golden voice. He had a Nashville voice.
Dang.
And geez, there was a lot of good country bands, a lot of good that style of music bands. Back then, Pure Prairie League, I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yep.
That style of music was kind of popular. You had the Daisy Dillman Band, you had Rural. A lot of the bands from the 70s that we could do a couple podcasts on just dragging up some of this stuff that people probably have never heard of that would probably maybe dig some of that music.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I like getting at least one suggestion from almost everyone I sit down with and kind of digging into it. And every now and then I'm just like, I love this. So it's fun to get to sit down and listen to the music the people I sit down with make, and then listen to what they listen to kind of get inside their headspace a little bit,
Right.
Oh man, I for a while, like with most things, I go headstrong into things so much if I really enjoy them, and I find it hard to walk away from them. And I bought a bunch of records like right before the record boom hit, because one of my buddies was like, I listen to records. So it's like I just went to like all the auctions around the area and just bought everyone's old records they were getting rid of and stuff. And I got boxes of them and stuff. And I just picked through stuff I'd never even heard of and pop it on. And that was when I first started like listening to things I never really thought I'd listen to or whatever. And somebody's like, you got like 3 Moody Blues records, pop one of them on. I'm just like, I don't know if I've ever heard the Moody Blues. And then you hear a couple songs, you're like, I've heard a couple of these for sure. But then you're just like, how is this album from start to finish this amazing? And people aren't like the Moody Blues are one of the greatest bands of all time, and I'm not saying people don't say that, but it's just one of those things where you didn't realize what you were missing until you finally heard it. And sometimes it takes, buying up somebody else's old music collection to do that. I mean, I was known for doing that with cassettes with people for a while, because cassettes was almost always like, you probably got some metal in here, like, and and probably a lot of rock and roll too. So like you'd always dig up people's cassettes because it was the '80s, and everybody's got Cinderella and Cherry Pie and or Cherry Pie Warrant,
Warrant,
and they got all those kind of bands in there. And that's how I got most of those things to start digging deeper into that. I started listening to like Kiss without their makeup on and stuff, and I'm like, I think I might even enjoy this more than Kiss with their makeup. I mean, no offense to anybody out there that likes Kiss with their makeup, but I mean, I wished I grew up in a time when a lot of the music I listened to was popular, because it sounds like, even on the local level, there were tons of people out there that were still just murdering it. And that's not to say that people aren't out there doing it now, but like, I only have what's out there now to relate to, because this is I only started going to music shows like 5 years ago.
Sure.
And that's when I first started getting in touch with people, one by one, slowly here and there. And then the podcast was a thing where it's like I got to start talking to these people, and it just makes me nostalgic and makes me kind of miss like what was there. But
it's a cool thing you do here. You have a pretty wide variety of people on, so and. You get, like I say, you got a long ways to go.
Yeah,
so, there's not going to be any lack of information coming your way. Man, a lot of these people. I'll have to make you a list, man. That's what I'll do.
I would love it. I'd love it.
I'll just do that when my brain's working right. I got 2 beers in me now, so it's a little fuzzy.
So you got MGcc as your current band now, and we cruised onto Facebook, and it doesn't look like there's a Facebook page, but is there? I mean, we don't know 100% if anybody has managed. I haven't looked on Instagram to see if there's an MGcc Instagram page.
I've been really lax on that, and I thought that Cody, our drummer, put up a page, but he might have abandoned it. I don't know.
And that could just be to say I'm not looking in the right spot.
Well,
and I mean that happens, but I know you guys in a ski band were very well known, even though there was not a whole lot of social media presence. There was towards the end. There was a little bit more. If you look up ski band, you'll find a few different performances. I think our Irma performance is on there from. Well, we got inducted in Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2010, which was a really cool thing before Dean passed that was able to happen. That's an honor, man. I mean, that's something.
It was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's something I feel that it's not gonna. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with my generation when we grow up, and it's some of the people I know that's their turn to be in there. I know a few people I would like to see in there eventually, but at the same time. Got a long ways to go. That's a lot of rocking. Like, how long were you guys going?
Well, 32 years.
Yeah. So
it was 30 years before we got in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was lots and lots and lots and lots of gigs.
Yeah, it's not just something you can go out.
Well, you know what it takes.
It takes a lot.
You have to want to. You're doing it for the. Let's see, we're doing it for the money. Oh no.
No.
Glory?
No.
Because we love it.
Women? No.
Not usually. Not being a bass player? No.
I don't know. I'm just...
No, because I love it. Because, the camaraderie, the music. I mean, it's just... until you experience it, you'll never know it.
Yeah. And, sometimes I go out and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I drive to Des Moines and back to play in a band, and I do that at least once a week. I drive down there and have a rehearsal with them so we can stay.
I used to do that every night. When I played week shows at Mother's, I'd work 7 to 3, hop in my truck, drive down there, get home at 4 o'clock in the morning, get up 7, go to work.
Dude, yeah. I mean, like, I've done that a couple times, and it wears on you thin, though. It's just like, man, you really have to want it, and that's the thing, And I
had a 70 Cadillac, man, 500 cubic inch 4 barrel, 17 miles to the gallon. I get from my house to Brad's 6th Avenue Saloon in an hour and 15 minutes, man. That's driving as fast as you can till you come up behind somebody.
Yep.
But yeah.
It's like you said though, you just gotta want it. Like, and I don't know, I'd go places and it's totally nothing, but I quit drinking a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. And it's just, it's not like I'm going to quit forever, but maybe I will. I don't know. I don't even do it for drinks anymore. So I'm not like a free drinks guy at the bar for the band. I just go out there to play and just to see people and talk to them, because it's nice to have that atmosphere and like the camaraderie of going out to see another band and seeing how much time and effort they put into doing their craft and how different it is.
Live music only happens once.
Yeah, I mean, and that was originally what I started out doing Audible Farm as. I tried to make a YouTube page where I could record. I brought a GoPro and a little portable recorder with me everywhere, and I was like, I'm just going to set it up in the corner of the room and record people playing stuff. And even if it's not going to be the greatest thing ever, it's gonna be something. And I ended up recording quite a few bands playing, I mean, all over the place. Even as far as like, I've got a recording I did of the band Dark Mirror at the Eagles Lounge in Fort Dodge in 2012 on there too.
Wow.
So like,
yeah, you got quite a bit on there.
and there's a decent stack of stuff on there, and some bands even used what was on there to get bookings at other shows. And I mean, just it was just kind of one of those things. Eventually I was like, I'm going to do the podcast and start doing that, because I gave everybody a good enough taste to see these bands. But there's still tons of bands I wish had either live video or something capturing the night.
Yeah, and I have good audio that I should be doing this with. And you know, the bass player is usually the guy. I mean, usually he has the van or the place to practice, or he books the shows. And I don't know how many bands you've been in, but
It seems to be that way a lot. I don't.
It's kind of like
Not always, but
70%. You know, of the time, it's usually the bass player that's
Yep.
the reason the band is still together.
It's so weird though. Like you're the least flashy, the least you're like the most waste not want not people in the band at like all times. For the most part, I'm not trying to like pigeonhole everybody in their bands. Like, who's got their life together? Oh, the bassist. You know, like it just seems to be that way. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not pigeonholing anybody playing any instruments.
Oh no, in the '70s, I was the only guy married in the band. We had a you know, back then when you could make money, we had a band house. You know, we had a recording studio in the basement, and if you wanted to live in the house, you could. And we made enough money to pay for the house. And
Oh, cool.
And, yeah, you know, that was a pretty cool time. It was. Called it Buzz Manor, and it was on High Street, so go figure what happened there.
Yeah, no kidding. Different time, different place.
Exactly.
But you know, that's another thing though. Like I've come to learn that like not every musician is like a straight up partier, and that's not to say that some of us don't like to party a little bit. But I mean, I found that a lot of people, like when I quit drinking at shows, it's like, how many people here play music that don't drink? There's a decent amount. So I'm never like the odd man out, even if I feel like that sometimes at a show, you know?
Yeah, but when you quit drinking, I can dig where you're coming from, because I quit drinking for a year once, and it was like people come up and say, hey, I'll buy you a beer. I say, I don't want, I'll take a Pepsi. Wait, what? I said, well, I quit drinking. Well, why? Because I wanted to.
Yeah, I was just...
Well, what's wrong? So,
nothing.
Nothing's wrong, bro. I just quit drinking for a while. Is that okay? Well, just make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
So everything's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, I just had less fun doing it, and then like one day I was just like, nah, I'll wait until I decide it's going to be fun again, and then I'll do it again.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know. I just tell people I don't drink, because it's easy to say that, but it's hard to just be like no or whatever. And for the longest time, I would just take people's drinks, and they'd be like, "Oh, let me buy you a drink." It's like, okay, sounds good. And then you just like pass it over to the person next to you, like under your arm, and before you know it, like, you know, oh, the drummer's girlfriend's getting drunk at the show, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to quit taking drinks from people and handing them around to people, you know, because otherwise, you know, especially if somebody sees you doing that, and they're like, this guy's kind of an a-hole. He's just, yeah, give me all the drinks, and he's just feeding them to everyone else.
He's a poser.
Yeah, I don't know. So for a long time, I would hide it, and I would do tonic water with lime. And just like walk around with that, and people would be like, "What are you drinking?" It's just like, I got this drink." You're like, "I'm gonna buy you another one," and it's like, "No, I'm good," because you know they're gonna come back with gin.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And it's even funny going to places asking for tonic and lime, and they're like, "No liquor," and it's like, "No, I'm all right for now."
Okay.
Yeah. Oh man.
I just like the bubbles, man.
So where do you guys how can people find your shows if you're going to play more shows with MGcc? Let me ask you that.
Well, that's a good question, because that's you know, social media is going to have to be coming up here, because we've always just played at Patty's pretty much. Actually, I was talking to Jeremy the other day. It's like, you think we could do a show with you over at the 503 or something? He's like, well, this show's, you know, the stage is, now they're not outside now. He says it's pretty small for two bands. And so, yeah, we're kind of actually looking for places to where we can play some original stuff. I mean, we do some covers, but not very many.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But to do it, to do a 3-hour show, I'm going to probably have to. We have a 2-hour show now.
Yeah.
Which is mostly original. And we do some ski band stuff too, which is
that's awesome.
The band I play with, they're such great guys, and they allow me to keep this stuff alive, because if I don't, it'll die.
Yeah.
And if I like it, I think somebody else has to like it. It can't just be me.
Yeah, exactly.
And and plus, what's really cool too is these songs were recorded at in the '90s, and then these guys put their spin on it.
Yeah.
So we have our stuff, and Marshall's wrote some really kick-ass songs here recently. So we started out, we recorded 4 songs out of Juniors.
Yep.
And we thought, well, we're probably going to go back and just master that and release it. And then now we have, 6 more songs, I think.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, well, and now you know how it is when you write a song and you record it, and then a year later it's completely different than you were when you recorded it.
Yep.
It's usually better.
Yeah.
Because everything's, and nothing ever's the same. With our band anyway, most of my stuff is always an experiment. There's always a signature hook to a song that you have to play, but most of the fills and stuff, man, I just try to find, always in search of that thing that I go, wow.
Yep. I always like to try something new with like almost every song I play with Three Finger Betty, because it's like, you never know, I might hit something real. I might hit gold, like one of these times playing it, and it's going to stay there forever, and you never know. I mean,
and I think jamming brings that out in you. It allows you to stick your neck out and think about things a little bit differently than just in this box.
Yep.
So, yeah. As far as shows to come, with Patty's being gone, I don't know where we're going to play in town. I don't know what would really work.
Yeah, because there's not too many like rock and roll venues in Fort Dodge right now.
Not really.
As far as if you wanted to, kind of bring your gear and kind of loosen the crowd up with a little bit of noise, kind of like there's not too many of those places around in Fort Dodge right now. But there are places to play if you want to, bust out an acoustic or get a little quieter, play some softer music.
Right.
Stuff with less of an edge, I guess you could say. Right. I mean, you could there's plenty of places in Fort Dodge now. It seems like a lot of places are opening up to the idea of playing music, at least.
Yes, exactly.
And the clientele is being more acceptable of the idea of music, maybe. I don't know what to say. Maybe the music's getting better. Maybe there's finally more musicians out there.
Well, it's probably a phase, Towns go through phases, and I think we're going through a phase, which is on the upside, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
No, the solo thing is really, in my lifetime, it was there for a while, but it's not as predominant as it is now.
Yeah.
And I can still totally understand from a winery or a bar owner, or, Shiny Top, all these places, you can have one guy up there and still have the same crowd that you would if you had 5 guys up there.
Bingo. Yep.
But the other thing is that some of these guys are making as much as the 5 guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get all ends of the coin. If you're one guy and you're like, I can go up here and entertain people as much as a whole band, why not pay me as much as a whole band? But at the same time, like, you're only one guy though, but it's that double-edged sword.
Exactly.
And the same thing from the business owner's perspective. It's like, if I got to pay 5 guys to come here with all their stuff and it's going to cost me, like, why not just pay this one guy who's going to cost half as much and it's only one guy? I mean, I totally get where all you're coming from. And
it also goes back to what we talked about before. If you're going to draw, if it's somebody we don't know and you're just in there drinking your wine and listening to somebody you don't know, or if you come to see Jeremy over from
Bingo.
50 miles away because it's Jeremy and you're going to see a good show. There's a difference there. Should Jeremy get that $600? Yeah, he should.
Yes.
Because he's been paying his dues.
Yeah.
Should this guy from Colorado that's going through town get that much? Probably not.
Probably not. But does that lessen his craft anymore?
No.
It doesn't mean that he shouldn't get paid anything.
That's the weird thing about the music business.
Yep.
But if you draw the crowd, that's equals dollars.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and I mean that's that tough thing where it's just like I said, you almost got to bring something else with to supplement people. So it's like the people that come to see you play, it's just like, well, I got shirts and CDs, or something like that. Even if you're just giving them out, and it's just like, I got shirts and demo CDs or something. It's like, now you can take me home with you or whatever.
Right.
Now you'll remember me for the next time I come through.
There's a break break dance troupe here in break time, is we break out the cardboard boxes.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
do that too. So
Yeah.
people might remember that.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I mean that's literally all it takes though, is just going out there and paying your dues, and it's a long, tough road to hoe. Especially to go out there and just day in and day out go out there and do it. And we've talked it over many times. You gotta enjoy it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's that's the reason people do take breaks though, and I see why people do it now. I used to just be like, why did anybody ever want to quit playing the guitar? Like everybody thinks you're the coolest guy at the party when you're playing guitar. Like what, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I get it. Like you get tired of being looked at. You get tired of having pressure on you. You get tired of driving and going to gigs every single day or whatever it was. Like I get it. Like I put it down for a while. Sometimes it just takes up too much of your life, and you want to go have a family or try to have a relationship with anybody, even if it's just a platonic relationship with friends. Like you can find yourself getting so stuck in playing guitar that you don't spend any time with any of your actual friends anymore.
You certainly can. My wife has always told me that she's second
second after the bass,
after music.
Yep. Oh man, so we've actually sat down and we've done over an hour already.
Wow.
And I feel like we've covered a lot, but I still feel like there's so much more to just
I didn't
keep
figure
going.
an hour would be enough. We probably have to do this again sometime. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need to do a little research and bring some cards to the table.
I have had a couple of people do that. They came down with a giant notebook written out, and it's like, I got to make sure I hit these points, and it's like, let's do it, and you just start talking, and eventually you run into them. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then it's nice to have them all like labeled out. Like I was in this band and these were all the members, and I was in this band and these, because it's nice to give your shout outs to all those people that you spent a lot of time with.
Exactly.
It's almost like a failed relationship, because it's like, even if it's not failed, but like I look at some of my old relationships, and it's like, I'm never going to dog any of these people, because if I dog them, I stood next to them for how long, and it's going to make me look like a piece of crap.
Right.
Because it's just like, if you drag them down, then de facto you're dragging yourself down. So there's no reason to do that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, even if I did butt heads with anybody in any of the bands I was in, I'm still on super good terms with them, and it's nice to have that in your back pocket though too.
It is. You make a lot of friends along the way, man. A lot of people that, as you well know, I got buddies in Minnesota. I got buddies all over that I don't see maybe once a year, maybe once every 3 years. And it's like, whoosh,
Yep.
it's right back where we were.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Oh,
how you
man.
been? You spend. There's just never enough time to catch up.
Yeah. I feel you.
Those friends are they're forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether or not you got to make music with them or share the stage with them or just be around them as they were a fan of your stuff or something, like it doesn't matter, like in any capacity. I think that's fun too, to find people that enjoy your music, and because I've gone around and been a musician and enjoyed other musicians' music, but it's also fun to find musicians doing the reciprocal action.
Right.
To me, it's like a humbling but honoring thing, like all at the same time. Like, why does that make me nervous and happy? Like at the same time, it's like pressure's on now.
I got a buddy in Minnesota, Mike Sherman, and he used to play guitar for Crow, and he works for a backline company now. Is it Unlimited Sound, or I can't remember the name of the company. But anyway, we always meet at the rally every year down State Line Rally. He usually does backline for him, and we play on Thursday nights. We have the guy that runs the show, myself and Mike Sherman, and we just drag all the stuff out of the production truck, whatever he brought for backline.
Yeah.
And we set it all up, and then we jam.
That's awesome.
And we all play songs that, one guy in the band knows,
Yeah.
We used to do that. The last couple of years we haven't done that, but that's the kind of stuff that you have fun with, that you see this guy once a year, and you'll have a matchless and Marshalls, and one year I had 2 GK rigs plus my hard key rig. I mean,
Oh wow.
you can just drag everything out and try all the stuff out and have some fun. Plus, you make memories you'll never forget.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's the fun stuff, that the people you meet and the relationships you make over the years. Randy McAllister, you know him?
Nope.
He's a Byron's type kind of guy.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah.
he just lives in his van and drives all over and plays.
Oh, nice.
I mean, those are the kind of people that, that's he wrote a song about the $110 cheeseburger, He writes
what? What?
Well, he was going home and bought a cheeseburger and put it on his card, and the thing bounced and overdrawn thing, and then by the time he went to the next place, and by the time he got all over and done with, this cheeseburger cost him like $130. But the most down earth guy you'll ever meet drives this piece of crap Dodge van, and well, he's probably got something nice now, but he probably doesn't because he really doesn't care. You know, he's about the music and about the people, and about the next town, and he's like a true punk. You know,
Yeah.
You know, you don't really worry about tomorrow. We're going to worry about today.
Yep. Yeah, I find that there's like an odd parallel between like the punk people and like I want to say the folk people, but like, you know, those kind of people. It's like the journeyman. Just find me like a, you know, punks were like, give me a garage and an amp and I'll plug my stuff into it and play it, you know, and like folk were the same people. Like I'll just go into any bar or any kind of hole in the wall and I've got my acoustic and let's do this, you know.
Yep.
It was an interesting thing the first time I ever went out to Byron's. I got that vibe almost instantly when there was people just like rolling up on motorcycles and you know, like people with license plates from everywhere, not just Iowa, but like all over the place. It's like, why? Where? Like, where do all these...
And it's Sunday?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. And that's just one of those things, the eclectic places. There's places like that out there that are... They're hidden, but they're there, you know, and if you know about Byron's, you know it. But if you don't, get to know it.
Yeah, you should.
Because there's no Facebook page for that either, believe it or not.
I
want to say Byron has a page.
I think Byron has a page, or
I know that he's got a Facebook profile.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, he does, because I've seen him I've commented on that stuff before. Yeah, he gets some amazing stuff over there, and you know, catches them coming through, and there it is, Brian Stewart.
Yep, Brian Stewart is who it is on Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah, he's or Byron, Byron Stewart.
Byron,
yeah, Byron.
Yep.
But yeah, Stuart. Not to just flood Byron's friend requests full, but he's the guy, and he posts all sorts of good stuff. Like it says, he just posted 5 show flyers, it looks like.
Yep, 6 hours ago.
6 hours ago. So yeah, June's coming up. So head on out to Byron's, check out some music. It's got plenty of comments on it. He's a great guy. There's some pictures of people jamming out at Byron's.
Yep.
I love that place.
I do too. I should probably give a shout out to my other band I play with. I play with this we call ourselves Blues Grass, I guess, and East End Boys. And we've opened up several shows for MGcc and jam with those guys. And it depends on the weekend. We got a couple guys from Manson. We got Bob Knowles and Danny Zier.
Okay.
And then from Fort Dodge, Don Ludwig and Casey Ackerson. And... Steve Wells and Pat Ackerson. They were both together. So on any given night, we'll have mandolin, banjo, harmonica, dobro, bass, a couple guitars. And
That's cool.
We play a whole bunch of songs by Mr. Traditional.
That's awesome.
You know, and we do most of that kind of stuff. And I also do play in a church band at Prairie Lakes Church. So shout out to my Jesus band. Those guys are awesome.
Oh, man. I don't want to change the topic, but let's look at the screen and look at Byron's cover photo. Oh, my gosh. That is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a whole bunch of Byrons standing outside of Byron's.
We did that to, you know, Mike Ewing?
No,
he's played in a lot of bands around here. We did that one year for his birthday. We gave everybody a Mike Ewing face on a popsicle stick. And he always would get up and jam with us, and he'd get up and play a couple Beatles songs with us and ski band. And so he got up and did it, and as he turned around, everybody had a...
That's hilarious. Yeah. And that's some of the other fun things you can do in a band, that you don't always got to take yourself 100% seriously all the time. And I think I enjoy being in a show when bands don't take themselves that seriously. It makes them more personable, you know, humanizes them up there. Just
makes them humans, you betcha. Yep. You know, I agree. You need to... It's just like, you know, when you screw up, you know, just acknowledge you screwed up, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't smash your guitar on a bunch of stuff. Don't get all mad about it.
No, don't get mad. Just move on.
Yep. I've learned to just laugh it off. Me and the bass player and Three Finger Betty consistently miss like one chord in a song, and we did it for like 4 or 5 shows in a row. and now we don't miss it at all, and we laugh every time we hit
Come
it.
up to it.
It's just like, here it comes. You gonna get it this time? Yeah, nailed it. People are probably just like, what are you guys doing? It's like, you should have been at the last show, or
Yeah, it's an inside joke.
yep, should have seen us in 2018. Oh man, this has been a great talk. I'm loving this. It's
Well, it's nice to meet you, and
yeah,
I listen to your stuff. I've been listening to some podcasts about a few different things about musicians and how they die and how they live.
yeah.
Disgraceland, you ever listen to that?
Oh,
geez, you got to check that out.
hit me with a handful of podcasts after this.
I will.
I'm always looking for stuff to
I know you would enjoy it.
fill
so.
my time. So, I'd love it. Otherwise, I just listen to comedy podcasts because I like to drive down the road and laugh. That's another weird thing, though. Like, you're a musician, you listen to podcasts. At like what point did that trigger in your mind to listen to podcasts and not music on the road? And how weird was it for you? Because it feels like for me, I mean, to speak for myself, it just kind of just happened, and I didn't even know it was happening. And now it's weird to play music in the car.
I've always been a talk radio guy. I'm a George Norrie, you're driving home at 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else is gone. You listen to all the different kinds of things on the radio. Talk radio, music, if you can find a public radio station or something that hasn't, I like hearing music that I've never heard before.
Yep.
Which usually takes public radio or some obscure station. I don't care if it's something classical. I love classical music for what it is. I'll try to put something else on, but podcast came up to the point like that. It's something I've never heard before. Mm-hmm. It's in how many times have you heard? I don't know, whatever song.
Yeah, exactly. Sweet Child of Mine, or just name one.
Name one. I mean, it's just across the board. Sometimes that just. I love that stuff, and that's what I've always said about some of these bands that like pop rocks and some of these bands that come out and do all this stuff. It's like, all you need to play is like the first 20 seconds of that song, and the thrill's gone. Yep. It's like, I don't want to hear the chorus. I just want to hear that first part, and then you move on. And I always thought that bands should do that. Let's just do like the first 20 seconds of 400 songs, and you'll never lose their attention.
Oh my gosh, that would be a fun concept for a band to just bail out on a song after the pop is gone, because everybody's gonna go nuts because they're like, oh man, yeah, I mean, and I do that too though. Listen to the radio, song you like comes on, you get that smile on your face, and then 20 seconds in, you tuned out. You don't even pay attention to it going anymore.
Yeah, because you heard it 50,000 times already.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I got into podcasts is because, and some people say, well, I don't want people giving me their opinion, and I don't want to, have that influence me. Well, choose what you listen to.
Yeah,
you there's
to
listen
podcasts
to
for everything.
Political stuff. You don't have to listen to, opinionated stuff. Listen to some fun stuff. Listen to a fishing show.
Yeah. I grew up the whole time, and I was one way only. I was just like, this is my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. And the older I get, the more I realize that my opinion is more fluid. If somebody gives me a good argument with facts and things like that, I'll change my opinion on almost anything, as long as they can not necessarily even appeal to me, but just appeal with facts and general knowledge.
It's like those posts on Facebook with the guy at the card table with the sheet on the front says, chocolate chip cookies suck. Changed my mind.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of feel like that though. It's just like I could listen to people talk about something I don't agree with 100%, and sometimes they come up with good points where it's just like, maybe that just comes from I was never on a debate team, but I was like debating people, and if you hear somebody's good point, it's just kind of like, oh, that's your big gun, so now I can argue against that with something else. Yep. And it's nice to hear both sides of the coin, and it's fun to you get the left and the right, and if you don't agree with either one of them, then you're like, now where am I at? So it's kind of fun to get all of those opinions and be like, well, I'm somewhere in the middle where most people probably are, but the least loud people, because the people on the ends are always the loudest, and that's why everybody thinks the world is so polarized now.
That's my problem too. I should have been a federal mediator, because I can see both sides of every situation, which is probably to my fault to a certain point. They say you need to make a decision whether you think it's the right one or not. You need to make the decision now. And I have a big problem with that, because I just see, I'm like you, I see both sides of both sides of the situation may be too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's weird because you're just like, you hear two people arguing, and you're like, hey, can we just meet in the middle? And they're both like, shut up, and it's like, no, I'm the problem, And then a couple of years down the road, where are they at? They met in the middle. And it's like, are you serious? I said that, back then. They're like, they're pretty much just like, shut up, Ross Perot, or like, or whoever, It doesn't matter who it is, but it's tough to be that odd man out,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
No, but I do feel that we are even just listening to podcasts and hearing a lot of people's opinions. I think we all are still on the same team. We just don't necessarily. It's tough to get It is tough to get someone else's opinion pushed in your face, but you just also got to take that with your own end of the coin and just don't push your opinion into anybody's face.
No, I'd say 98% of everybody out there is playing the same game and kind of on the same page as far as not pushing your opinion so much on. It's always the fringe that's going to stick in your face and not listen to compromise of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, before the internet, these people were like out in the streets in New York with trench coats on, saying the end is near. Now they're on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. I could very well be one of those people too. You never know.
Yes, man. We could be.
So if people want to get a hold of you, I guess, or find any of your band stuff, where do you think would be the best place? Probably hit you up on Facebook, or
probably just hit me up on Facebook. Just right. Gene Walker.
Yeah. I do every podcast, take a picture with the person and post it on my Facebook. So like the Audible Farm page will have a picture of me and Gene, and it'll be tagged with Gene in it. So. If you want to try and track them down, you can.
Good luck.
You can do that. I'm pretty sure you're probably like me. I'm one of those people that has just tons and tons of friend requests just sitting there that I don't.
Yeah, I do.
And it's tough because like a lot of it's like I don't know if I know these people, and it's pretty bad. So if you're listening to this and you sent me a friend request, I just scrolled through the probably 60 or plus or whatever I got. If you know me, or if you just listen to the podcast or something, just say hi. Tell me where you know me from. Sometimes I'll just add you because whatever. But I like trying to know people. It's kind of weird letting people into my social media bubble without knowing them, even just a little bit.
I agree.
And even if you just said I went to one of your shows and saw you, or I listened to your podcast, that's cool. Hit me, I'll totally add you. Just say something first. There's people I've sent messages to like, do I know you? And they don't even respond. And it's like, you just sent me a request. But it's tough. It's really tough.
It is.
But Gene's on Facebook. I'm not sure. You probably don't have Instagram or Twitter or any of the other stuff.
I don't. I just this time for all that stuff. I just if something, I don't know. I just always looked at computers and the internet as if it's not working for me, it's working against me. So I try not to have it suck my time out of my life.
Smart man. I used to spend hours and hours and hours and hours at computers every day. Now it's like part of my job, so now I try my best to stay clear of them if I can. And I'm finding myself being repelled by the internet. Like I get on there and I get mad at things, and it's not good. So I just try my best not to post anything if I can help it. And I put limits on my phone so no more notifications pop up for anything. Yep. And it's kind of nice though.
I did the same thing. I turned all my notifications off. I want to get on Facebook, I'll get on and check it out a little bit. But lately it's just been political. I don't.
Yeah.
And I just. Some of my friends would be like, "Hey, I'm gone for 5 weeks. See ya."
Yeah, dude, it's crazy though. It sucks you in. It sucks because I fall into the same trap that everybody else falls into,
yep.
And I try my best not to, and it happens
every time.
Every time, I can't help it. So yeah, it's crazy to like every single week. It's just like your screen time on your phone is down, and it's like good. That's a good way to be. It means I'm present in my surroundings, and I'm actually enjoying the people around me.
Exactly.
I'm at work doing my work actually. And stuff. Whatever it happens to be. So
yeah.
So Gene is online if you wanna hit him up online. Otherwise, I'm sure you're gonna end up with an MGcc Facebook page before too long.
Yeah. This is a good incentive to work on that. So yeah, I need to get that done to get our stuff out there.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a limited, sparse, or probably no links for MGcc underneath the description.
But unlike everybody else's.
But it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go out and see you guys play live sometime. I missed the last show at Patty's Pub because I was playing a show in Des Moines, and it was
It was epic.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where I just couldn't make it. I made it to the last jam night there, and that was a deal where I went to a show in Des Moines, caught another show in Des Moines, saw the bands I wanted to see, and then drove up here. So I actually went to 3 different shows that night.
Nice.
And I ended up hitting the end of the jam night. And that was stacked with people that last night there.
That was a good night. That was a fun night.
Oh man. Well, thanks for joining me on the podcast, man. We've well eclipsed an hour here, so
well, good.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be a good one. Thanks for joining me, man.
Well, thanks, Peter. It's nice. Thanks for inviting me, and I'll get you a bunch of information, probably more than you want.
Yeah, send it over on Facebook or wherever. I don't, email me, snail mail me, whatever you got. So I'm cool with it.
10-4.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, man.
Oh baby. It's good to hear Gene Walker's voice again. I gotta have him back sometime, and I guarantee everybody that I will have him back sometime. So don't you fret. I just had an issue with scheduling this week. It was kind of tough. I had a couple cancellations. It's just happens. It's tough to get everybody kind of in the same boat. Not only that, but I'm all over the state. I'm located in a weird area that's tough to get to for a lot of the musicians that I want to talk to. So. It just happens sometimes. Actually, this is the first time it's ever happened where all of the appointments that I had made fell through. So, you know what? It's cool. It happens. I guarantee everybody I'll have Gene Walker back on here again. And, I look forward to sitting down with him again, hearing him play. I want to share the stage with MGcc so bad. Those guys, they're killer. I heard some of their stuff they did a couple weeks ago up at the Eagle Social Club in Fort Dodge. I heard some of their stuff on the I guess he sent me some videos, and the videos that he sent me were really awesome. So they shared the stage that night with Gear Down and I believe East Madison. And East Madison, I'm not 100% sure if they're still doing the whole band thing or not, but I do know that members of East Madison are still working in the music community. So if they're not around anymore, maybe go to their Facebook page, check it out. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out of that camp here later too. So Gene, if you're listening to the intro and outro on the replay episode of your episode, hit me up sometime. We need to book a gig together. A little backstory. We got something. We're trying to work on something, but we'll get it done. Gene's got a show coming up with the Stampeding River Caterpillars, and that is coming up at the Junkyard in Barnum, March 14th. It's going to be about an 8 to 11 show or so, and it's going to be great. So the Junkyard, I've been there before. It's a fun place. I've been to jam nights there before. It's a fun place to go to jam nights on Tuesday nights. So Tuesday nights, if you're looking for a jam night, a nice easy one to go to and stretch your legs, that's a good one. And I'll tell you what, Gene's going to be there with the Stampeding River Caterpillars on March 14th. It's going to be awesome. The MGcc stuff, that's starting to pick up. I did possibly hear that they may or may not have picked up a booking at one of Humboldt's favorite shows. I'm going to leave that one on the table for now because I don't want to let out too much info that nobody's let out already. But I hear that MGcc might be playing up in Humboldt coming up. So like I said, more news on that later. If you can put the pieces together, go for it, but I didn't say anything, so you didn't hear it here first. But Gene, I'll have Gene on again sometime soon, I hope. Gene's a great guy, and I want to say thanks to everybody for listening this week. I'm sorry I didn't have a guest in this week. Like I said, it's the first time in like a year and a half that it's happened. So it's pretty wild that it hasn't happened yet. I opted to not take the week off. I wanted to at least inform you guys on some stuff. So the intro and outro was how I did it this week, and I just wanted to let everybody know that Gene's got some new stuff going on. Any of the things we talked about in this podcast, they might be a little bit time sensitive, but not really, because MGcc, like I said, they're really ramping it up hard, and they're looking for gigs, and they're doing a hell of a job playing shows. They're all talented. It's great stuff. So if you haven't, scroll down below, check out the MGcc link, and give them a like, give them a follow. They deserve it just as much as everybody. And not only that, but make sure you check out that Stampeding River Caterpillars show March 14th at the Junkyard in Barnum. That's gonna be a good one. Barnum, Iowa, everybody. It's gonna be great. So hey, I'll check you next week. I've got a couple of appointments set up for interview type stuffs later. I've got some more stuff in the works too. I know I've said that a lot. It's so tough to sit down and actually just do this stuff. So I should probably just quit talking about it and actually do it, which seems to be a common thread in this podcast. When I ask people how they got good, they said they just practiced and they just did it. So yeah, so maybe I'll just do that. I've got some stuff working, but I don't know. We'll see. Thanks everybody for listening to the weekly podcast I put out. Check out audiblefarm.com for all of the links to everywhere. You can check out all the Audible Farm stuff. If you want a t-shirt or a hoodie, I still have a few left. They're starting to get really slim. I think I got single digits of each one left in only a couple sizes. So if you want one, hit me up. I'm looking to possibly make a reorder here soon. So that's what I got for you this week. I want to say thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Gene for being the replay. I really appreciate you letting me use your episode again and sandwiching some new intros and outros around it. And I hope everybody's not too upset that this isn't a brand new episode. But hey, if this is the first time you heard this Gene Walker episode, then all was good. Then it all totally worked out, because I try to get people to listen to the older episodes, and some people have gone through the back catalogs and really cruised through there to see what's in there. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys doing that, listening week in, week out. There's so many of you. It's getting big and it's getting crazy. So I want to say thanks to all you guys. Like, subscribe, share, repeat, tweet, poke, do all that stuff. Share this with your friends via word of mouth. Actually, that seems to be one of the best ways to share the podcast. So thanks everybody. I'll check you next week. Peace.